Hey guys, in this episode I'm going to show you how to change the color of eyes in Photoshop. Hey guys, welcome to Kelvin Designs. My name is Kelvin in Design, and that's why it's called Kelvin Designs. Click down here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, get all these episodes as they come out, and click up here to get the source files to this episode and every other tutorial that I do for free. In this episode I'm going to show you how to change color of eyes and actually anything in Photoshop using more than just a hue saturation. It's a little more complex, but you get more of the detail and all the intricacies of color mixing, and it's pretty cool. So let me show you. Alright, so to start, go to my website, kelvindesigns.com, and click on free lessons. It'll take you to this page. And up here you'll find the episode that we're doing, which is not here obviously because we're recording it. Once you click on the actual tutorial, if you don't have already an account, just sign up, it's free. And then once you've signed in, just click on the download source files and it'll download a zip file that contains these two files. So the first is the eyes that we're going to change the color of, and the other is a color wheel PDF. So you can go ahead and open that with whatever software you like. I use Preview. Acrobat should work. Anyway, so here we go. We have this color wheel, and the reason I'm bringing this up as far as changing color is because it's important to understand color and their opposites essentially when doing color correction and color changes. So let's go ahead and open up the eyes. So here we go. We're in Photoshop, and let's zoom in here. So I'm going to Command Alt plus on a PC, that's Control Alt, and we're just going to zoom in, and yeah, we can start here. So the first thing I do when I change color of anything is a very detailed mask. That way I don't have to worry about where I'm changing color. It's just predetermined, pre-selected. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to zoom in to about 200%, and with the brush tool here, right click, and 45 is the size, 85 is the hardness. That is my go-to size when I do detailed selections of high resolution photos. In some cases you can do a little even finer, but this should do for now. So I'm in Quick Mask. All right, so click on that little button over here, and whatever becomes pink means it's selected. When I come out of Quick Mask, there you go, it's selected. All right, so I'm going to deselect that, Command D, or here, deselect. So go back into Quick Mask. And now we're going to click and hold down the Shift key. It'll basically make a line between the two clicks, okay? So I'm doing this around. You could do this with the pen tool, and there's many methods of selecting, but this is definitely my preferred method of selection, simply because I have all the filters to blur the pixels and whatnot at my disposal. Okay. Oh, so I hit X, going a little fast here. I hit X, which means I'm now brushing white, which means I'm taking out. So let's say here I'm black, I'm filling it in. If I wanted to get some out, I go on the white one, and then I'm brushing white, and now I'm basically deselecting. Everything I'm painting with white is being unselected. Everything that I'm painting with black, which shows red here, is selected. So if I want to smooth out the corners, I go white, and then same thing, I click and I hold down the Shift and a Shift click. So there you go, something like that. Anyway, so once you're done with that, I'm going to go to the other eye over here and do the same thing, except I want to make sure we're black in the front. So D for default colors, that means it's black in the front, white in the back, and X switches them around, foreground to background, that's X. All right, do it again, click, Shift click, and I keep shift clicking. I'm trying to make it as round as possible, so not too big, the steps between them are not too big. And if I need to come and smooth it out, it's pretty simple, so something like this. Okay. All right, something like that. I can maybe in here a little bit. All right, fill it in. It's pretty fast and easy. All right, and then hit X over here, and I can smooth out some of these edges. Okay, so now I have, oh, here's a little bit of a sharp edge right here, maybe a little over here, something like this. All right, I'm going to zoom out, Command Alt and minus, to about 50%, okay? And I get out a quick mask, which turns that into a selection. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new group, and we'll just call this, I guess, colorize, or just eyes. That's fine, eyes. Okay, and then I'm going to click the mask button, which turns my selection into a layer mask. Now, a layer mask is simply a mask that will be applied to this group or layer, which means that if I create a new layer within this group, and I take my brush and I'm going to brush, it only happens where the mask happened. See that? If I take it outside of the mask, outside of that group, you see what I brushed. All right, let's get rid of this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to make a copy of this. All right, let's drag that here and put it into this group. Okay, I just want it for the eyes. And let's just call this eyes, even though it's the full photo. And as I usually do, I'm going to convert this to a smart object. And once that's done, I'm going to go into Filter, Camera Raw. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going to do a slight color correction to the eyes, and that's for two reasons. One, it's much easier to change the color of something once it's been color corrected, and get as much detail out as possible so that when you change the color, all those nuances kind of change with the color change. So in this case, I want to definitely add some clarity. Now, mind you, it's going to show everywhere, but I'm just affecting the eyes because the rest is being masked out. So I'm going to drastically increase the clarity, maybe a little bit of exposure, a little bit of contrast, not too much, a little more. Yeah, I want to brighten those up a little bit, something like that. And I'm pretty happy with that. So, all right, before, after. So I've considerably lightened the eyes, and I've gotten a lot of detail out of here. Now, you can kind of see on the edge here that it's gotten a little far. But that's the magic of having a mask. So now that I have the eyes showing, I can go to the mask here, and if I want to, I can go ahead and say Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. I'm going to put my little square right on the edge here so I can have a preview here of what I'm doing. So once you click on this window, it shows you before, and when you let go, it shows you after. So there's a 2-pixel blur, and if I see before it was nice and sharp, and after it's a little blurry. So the 2 pixels is actually pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I want the mask to go a little bit closer into the eye. So to do that, you go to Image Adjustment, Levels, but I'm doing levels on the mask itself, which means that if I go here, it's going to open up, and if I go on this side, it's going to eat into the eye. You see, it's basically expanding or shrinking that selection. So that's pretty cool. That's the point of making a Gaussian blur on a mask and then editing levels. It really allows you to edit, basically expand and contract your selection. So I find my sweet spot somewhere around here. Look on both sides, so we're happy. And I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, good. So now that I have that color kind of strongly, I mean, like, that's a pretty drastic change. I did lighten it considerably, and we can zoom out to see kind of what that looks like. It's pretty drastic. I mean, I like it. It's a little dramatic, but I like that. So the first step I'm going to do is make these, because these are somewhat blue-green. I want to make a version that is clearly blue. So to do that, I'm going to make another group within here, and we'll call this blue. All right. So it's a group within this group, and in this group, I'm going to use color balance. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can. There's a number of different ways that you can adjust colors, and I'm sure you've all seen the hue saturation, and that's kind of the easiest one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that for you, so you can see what that's like. So you can change the hue like this, and it has its advantages, and there's definitely ways to use this in a nice way. Many people will tell you to colorize and then sort of find the color that you want. The only problem with this, it's nice, but I don't know if you noticed, but it got rid of all the little color detail within the blue. Now it's basically a monochrome blue, which is nice and can work, but I like to somewhat keep some of that detail. See, in this green, we've got a little bit of yellow and brown and a little bit of some blue and green, and anyway, it's nice to have that sort of those various colors. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this because that's not the method we're going to use for this one. All right, so go back to the color balance over here. And in here, we're going to, for the blue, let's start with, so here we have the color balance. I usually start with the midtones. And so I want to go extra blue. So that means going away from the greens and yellows. If we go and look at the color wheel that we had opened earlier, you'll see that you have the blues here, which means it's the opposite of yellow and orange. Now the reason I bring this up is because sometimes it's better to take away from these colors to go towards this as opposed to just adding these colors. So here, for example, I could just go straight to blue, but in many cases, let's bring this back to 0. In many cases, it's a little more productive to go away from, say, the green and a little bit away from the red. It is essentially going towards cyan. So let's try this. Let's do a -14 here. 14 or 15, something like this. I actually don't want to change the gray and magenta. That's kind of outside of the realm of what I want to do here. And maybe a little bit towards the blue. So now, in both cases, so you can see the before and after here, before, after. Very mild, all right? We can zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in, something like this. All right, so zoomed in to 50%. Let's zoom in even more. Let's go to 100. Okay. So you can see before, after. Okay. And so it's very mild. And once again, I'm trying to keep some of the detail and changes and nuances within these colors. All right. So now, next thing I'm going to do is shadows. And in the shadows, so that's all these darker areas. I actually want to go, I just want to actually go deeper blue, not too much. Now, I've mentioned this in other tutorials. When you manipulate shadows in the color balance, it usually you need to usually just go very, very light because it acts much stronger than your highlights and your midtones. And then let's do the highlights. And in the highlights, so that's all these tones over here. I think it's really up in this one that I want to change it. Here, going from, I want to go towards a very sort of a very cyan-like blue. So let's look. Before, after. Before, after. We got a little bit away from the green. I still have some of those nuances. Let's zoom out a little bit, which I like. It's pretty strong. All right. So this is my blue version. Okay, whatever was before, which is this, now I have this. It's my blue version. Now it's very striking. Once again, if I find this is too much, I can go back to my camera raw over here, and I can say, all right, well, that's a little too much. Let's tone down the contrast. Let's tone down the clarity a little bit, something like this. Hit OK. All right, and we got it's a little blurrier. It's still pretty bright, which I'm pretty happy with. Okay, so blue, before, after. Pretty good. And let's zoom in one more time and look at the highlights. This is something that's pretty important. Whenever you're color correcting eyes, one of the very important parts is the highlights in the reflections. So here, let's see what we did. In those reflections, we went a little bit towards cyan, and we had a little bit of a more neutral color before. Let's look at the other eye. And here, before, after, yeah, we took out a little bit too much, and we're colorizing that a little too much. And it gives the eye a bit of a monochrome look. So what I'm going to do to fix that is pretty simple. I'm going to try to select this reflection and only that reflection. So to do that, I'm going to go take the lasso tool, the polygon lasso, which is here, and I'm going to make a little selection around the area that I'm interested in, and on the other eye as well. Something like this. Oh, I think, yeah, I unfortunately didn't hold down the shift key. So to add a selection, you have to hold down the shift, and you get a little plus next to that crosshairs. And there you go. Something like this. Okay, so now I have both of those selections. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, and then make sure that I have white in front. So to do that, I hit this little button, which is the default colors, and then I hit X or reverse, which puts the white in front. And now I go to color range, okay, and I want just the whites. It says sampled colors, which is whatever other color I had, but let's just do highlights. And now you see the red, what's being selected. I'm going to, I can change the range or the fuzziness. All right, so I want more fuzziness and the range a little lower, something like this, a little more fuzziness. All right, I really want as much as I can in that area of the highlights. I can go and smooth out that selection after. All right, something like this. Let's bring this both ways, see what happens. All right, something like this, okay? And what I'm going to do is make a copy of this, like so, and then apply the mask. All right, so this is the unchanged reflection. All right, we'll call this reflection. All right, so that means that when I put the blue, I'm changing what's behind the reflection. See, the difference is, this is the difference. It's a slight little nuance. I don't know if you can see in the video here. I'm going to zoom in so you can really see. This is before, this is after, but see how it changed that reflection? And then this is with the unchanged reflection. Now that mask needs a little work, so let's go in here into the mask, zoom out a little bit, and go to Channels, show the mask, and hide the RGB. And with a soft brush, zoom in a little bit, let's go with a soft brush, so like so. So hold down the Control and Alt, and then up and down is hardness, and left and right is size. Okay, so size something like this, and very soft. And I'm just going to go in here, and everywhere where there's a hard edge, I'm just going to brush over it so that there's no sudden changes in the color. Let's go to the other side, over here, and we do the same thing here. I'm just making it smooth so it doesn't have any sudden changes in color. All right, we can hide this reflection mask, put back the RGB, go back to the layers, and let's zoom out a little bit, and let's see the difference now. Before, you see that little slightly too cyan, and after, it's more neutral. So I like that, pretty good. Okay, next we're going to, so let's close this up. Next, so this is the blue, and this is our main eyes. Next, let's create a new group, and let's call this brown. Okay, and in here, once again, let's do a color balance. All right, and we can actually hide the blue, so it's one or the other, not both. And all right, so starting with midtones, but actually, because brown is such a huge shift in color, I might start with a hue saturation and see what that gives me. Let's see how much I can get away with, because essentially I want something around here. Right? Something like around this color, and then I can manipulate the lightness and darkness. Now it did change. I have some purples in there, which is a little weird. So, but let's see what I can do with this starting point. Okay? And then let's take the color balance, but I'm going to put the color balance above the hue saturation, like so. Oh, undo that. Here we go. Take this color balance and put it right above here. There we go. Okay. So once you're in the color balance for the browns, I'm going to start with the midtones, and so I want to go towards brown. So that means less cold, more warm. So let's try in the midtones. Let's see what happens here. Left side to green, right side's in the brown. So that's pretty good. I'll try to go light. Let's try this small steps by small steps, something like this. And then I don't think I want to change this because this is too green or magenta is too strong. Let's do 0 on that. And then in the yellow to blue, I want a warm, so I'm going to go towards the yellows, not too much. This is a little too much. Let's try something like this. Okay, let's see. It's a little bit better before, after. Okay, still need some work. Let's go to the shadows, and let's warm up those shadows. Yeah, that's making a huge difference. See that suddenly those shadows merge much better because they're not cold. All right, once again, I'm not going to change the magenta to green, and I'm going to Well, maybe a little bit. Let's see what it does. Well, this is kind of interesting. I don't know. I think I'll just leave that at 0 for now. And let's see what happens if I go here. So this becomes really yellow, which I don't want. I want it to be a little more neutral in the shadows. So let's do something like this, yeah. See that difference? It's a little bit, it almost desaturates the shadows because I'm going away from the yellow. And then let's do the highlights. And we start with, let's see, I don't think anything good is going to come out of changing the cyan and reds. Let's put that back to 0. And then in the mids, in the magenta to greens, yeah, maybe a little toward green, not too much. Something like this. And the highlights, oh, I think I want to go a little more towards yellow. So something like this. All right, I still have some slight purple in there, but I kind of like it. It's giving a little bit. See, if I wanted to, I could just do hue saturation, and I could just say colorize, and then make it brown, so like so, and I could darken it. I wouldn't darken it using this, but essentially this gives me brown eyes, but it's all flat. There's such a lack of nuance and color. So I'm going to delete that, and granted this is much too saturated, so let's go in here, see if we can maybe desaturate a little bit. That helps. And then maybe create a levels on top of everything and just kind of darken everything just a little bit like this. That's pretty good. So before, after. Okay, I like that. So let's see the before and after. This is the original and this is brown. Let's zoom out and see what that looks like. I might need to darken this one a little bit because this one's a little brighter than this one. But honestly, it's also the light source is more on the right side, and this eye is more lit than this one. So I'm gonna let this one go as it is. Might want to darken it a little bit more. So go in here and just kind of bring that. There we go, something like that. That's quite. I'm considerably darken it, and the shadows are considerably darker. But you know what? I like that. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Let's go to hue sat and see. Yeah, see this becomes too amber. So somewhere in here like this is pretty good. I like that. Okay, good. All right, so let's close that, and then let's create a new group, and we'll call this green. And in this case, let's do a totally different method. There's so many different methods of color correcting, and this one is called selective color. Now it's pretty cool. You can basically go in here and say, I want to change my magentas or my blues, and I would like to add magenta to my blues or yellow to my blues, etc., which is really nice. And you can change right here in your neutrals, which is, this is the easiest way of essentially adding or subtracting cyan, magenta, yellow, and black on any image, even if the image is in RGB, which is our case. So in this case, I would take out some of the cyan. I'm trying to go green, right? So that means more yellow, less magenta. So let's start with a little bit of cyan. Let's see what happens if see if I take out magenta. Let's go back to our color wheel here. If I take out magenta, guess what's on the other side? Green. So that's exactly what we want. Not too crazy because this looks completely fake. So we want to go and do this very, very lightly. Maybe just something like this. And then in the yellows, because we're blue, so once again, let's go back to here. Because we're in the blues, when you mix blues and yellows, well, you get greens. That's what's in between. So let's add some yellow. And look at that, we're becoming green. So notice how there's two different ways of becoming green, either by subtracting magenta or by adding yellow. And sometimes it's just a nice little mix of both of those is what's going to get you exactly what you want. So something like this. Maybe that's a little strong, but yeah, let's try this. Too much. Yeah, I want to go really light on the magenta. See that cyan. Yeah, I don't want to go too crazy on that. Something like this. But notice how now I still have a bunch of nuance and colors, and much more interesting than if I just flat out gave it a hue saturation, single color colorization. And there you go. So we have our green, our brown, and our blue eyes. And this is good method to start learning how to change colors, in this case of eyes, but this really works with almost anything in Photoshop. So yeah, give it a try. Try a few different photos. Try it on these eyes. Try it maybe with some hair and so on. And I hope you learned something. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you learned something. And if you did, remember to like it and share it on your Facebook or Google+. It really helps me out. And here's a little sneak peek of my Photoshop workflow course. Hey, guys, I wanted to talk to you about my brand new Photoshop workflow course. It's a course I've been working on for quite a while, and it basically teaches you how to take an idea and bring it to execution, final product in Photoshop. And you get all kinds of problems when you have that, where your ideas may be very fantastical. How do you find the photo, or how do you take the right photo? And you get into blending problems, and there's many different scenarios where you need some specific filter or a layer that needs to be blended in a certain way. So here we go through a bunch of different projects. We start off pretty simple with how do you make something with a reflective source a little more exciting. It's pretty simple, but through a few little tricks, it's actually very simple, but you just have to learn it. So here in this example, you can see the before and after, and it's pretty dramatic. Then we get into, we have an idea to do something fantastical. Now there's a lot of different elements here, how to make them all come together to really communicate the idea of, I want to do something fantastical and otherworldly. So you can see them all kind of come together in the final composite here. We then take another photo, beautiful photo by my friend Serge Romelli, and we wanted to make it a little more exciting by adding some exotic element to it. So we take the photo and we plop in the tiger and make it all blend together with this, color cast and yellow, light source to get some good color contrast and so on. And you get the final photo here. So pretty exciting. I really like the outcome of this photo. And then we wanted to let's try to make something very Photoshop-like. So we start off with a photo of a light bulb, put some water in it, put a fish in it, put some clouds around and some birds and a sun. It's crazy, there's all these elements, but how do you get them to fit together? That's the trick, and that's what you learn in this course. So there are many more projects like this, which you can see in the before and afters, but we really tackle subjects like, water reflections, refractions, shadows, and where the light source comes from, how do you do proper lighting and blending modes, how do you mask things like different layers or groups and adjustment layers. Anyway, all these tools to make proper composites and retouching. This is really the best course I've ever done, the most meticulous. I really took the time to start off simple so that by the time you're done, even if you started off fairly beginner level, by the time you're done, you know how to make composites, advanced composites, something that has complexities like water refractions and reflections and how to blur and lots of things to make things real in composites. Things that seem pretty complex, but just going through the motions are pretty simple. So here it is, my brand new Photoshop workflow course.